Hey, it's Matt from 60 Acres or whatever. Today it's a little drizzly, overcast, a little chilly. I'm not going to be jumping into the beehives behind me here. I'm actually going to be building a bee waterer. Last year my bees were drinking some nasty chicken coop runoff water, old hose water, and anything they could find. The closest water source to me is probably 1.5 miles, maybe 2 miles away. Bees need water, so today I'm building a bee waterer. So a lot of people know that bees bring in pollen to feed their brood, but what they also don't know is they also bring in water. They don't store water in the hives, but they bring it in as it's needed. One of the things that they use the water for is cooling. They also use it to regulate the humidity inside the hive. And they also use it to eat their stored food. For instance, if some of their honey gets crystallized, they can add some water to it to reconstitute it. They also feed it to their larvae as well. I think was it 80% of the food that the larva consumes is water. Like the first day, and on the 6th or 7th day, I think it drops down to 50 or 55% water. Some of the resources and stuff online that I've seen to build a bee waterer is a bird bath or frisbee with some rocks or some marbles in it. So what I'm going to do is use this shallow tub or pan, and I'm going to take my 5-gallon tote and stick it in the center. When this 5-gallon tote is closed with the lid, it creates a vacuum. I'm going to drill 2 holes so the water can come out as it needs, and then I'll have a fill spout on the top. You need to have something for the bees to land on, otherwise they're going to drown themselves, so you can use some sticks. I have a bunch of rocks here that I gathered from the property. I'm just going to stack around the outside of the 5-gallon bucket and in the tote. That'll give the bees something to land on. They can crawl down to the water level and then drink some water out of there. So what you're going to need is a level surface. If your waterer isn't level, what you're going to need is a level surface for your waterer to sit on, and if it's not level, then your water's just going to keep spilling out and it's not going to be able to create a vacuum. I'll show you the vacuum and how everything works once I get it set up. So the first thing I need to do is I've already leveled my stand. I need to figure out how high my water level is going to rise inside my tote. I don't want it to drill a hole above the tote because then the water will keep spilling out. I want to drill it below the tote so that as the water fills up and it covers the hole, no more water will spill out. So what I'm going to do is find a spot below my water line, probably right about here. So you want to make sure that your stand is level, because that will affect your vacuum that you get inside your 5-gallon tote. And I'll show you how that works. Okay, So we know my tote is level. We gotta figure out how deep our tote is. So it's about 4.5 inches deep. So I think around the 3.5 inch mark is where I want to mark on my bucket. For the holes that will drain out. So 3.5 inches on one side and 3.5 inches on the other side. So now we want to drill our holes in our bucket. Now our holes are below our upper line here. So now I'll just fill the in-between here with rocks. Alright, so now that we got a nice rock base for our bees to land on, one thing that is important to remember is to give a couple of spaces around your bucket above the water line so the bees can land on that first and then come down to the water level as they need. They'll also land on the edge of the lip here and they'll drink down, but you just need something for them to grab onto in case they fall in. So I left the hole here open so you guys can see the water come out and then the water line raise, hit the hole, and then stop. Once the water line comes above the hole, the vacuum inside the bucket will stop anything from coming out. So when you're looking for lids, make sure you get one that's got this spout in it. Just about all food grade and 5-gallon bucket lids have it. But this is what you're going to fill with. It's got a nice little twist top, and then it's got an inner little food grade safety tab, and then it's open all the way through. And this is what you're going to fill with when your lid's on. So I'll go grab about 5 gallons of water and I'll be right back. So if you buy a new bucket, make sure you guys take off this little seal here. Otherwise you're going to have a really hard time getting this lid on and off. That seal makes it so once the lid goes on, you can't take it off without removing the seal. So just to make it easier, just go ahead and take it off. So I've got my 5-gallon bucket here. And I'm going to fill this up with water. So there we go. The water line is above the hole, which doesn't allow any more water to come out. And I've got some areas here for my bees to land on. That way they don't have to land directly in the water. And as the water level goes down, it'll just continually stay at this line unless I run out of water inside the bucket. If I break the seal up here, you'll see that it'll continue to flow out until it overflows. So as long as this seal on the top is closed, you shouldn't have any issues with it overflowing. So one more quick tip, make sure you put a couple of rocks on the lid, because it's got a lip here and the bees will land on here, because if it rains, water will gather on the top and it's pretty easy for them to drown up here too. So just give them a couple of rocks or a big one just above the lip so they have something to crawl to. So if you guys like what you saw today, if you have any tips or ideas or comments, put them down below. Give me a like, give me a subscribe. Always look for new followers. I've got more beekeeping videos to come. One of the next videos I'm going to do is cleaning up the bee yard, making it easier to walk around. I've got like a 20-foot pile of sand on my property, and I'm going to be using the tractor to fill the area behind me with some sand, kind of level it out a little bit and get these big old trees out of the way that somebody dropped before us, and just clean it up, make it more presentable.